Thưa quý khán giả của VietNEWS USA, sống ở Hoa Kỳ, nơi được mệnh danh là thiên đàng trên đất, với sự kết hợp của các giống dân cùng chung sống và chia sẻ các ngôn ngữ, văn hóa, đem lại một sự kết hợp hùng mạnh khó có đất nước nào có thể sánh bằng. Tìm hiểu thêm về các cộng đồng bạn qua những con người thật, việc thật, cũng sẽ giúp chúng ta biết thêm được nhiều cái hay, cái quý đáng học hỏi. Chương trình Song Ngữ, Cuộc Sống Quanh Ta, với các khách mời là những doanh nhân, nghệ sĩ, thương gia, chính trị gia, sẽ đem đến cho chúng ta nhiều bất ngờ thú vị. Chương trình được sử dụng với 2 ngôn ngữ, tiếng Anh và tiếng Việt, và với sự điều phối thật linh động lưu loát của cô hướng dẫn chương trình xinh đẹp và tài giỏi của tiểu bang Arizona, Tiffany Mộng Tuyệt, sẽ giúp các bạn trẻ thêm sự gần gũi với cộng đồng Việt Nam và cũng như những người khán giả của VietNEWS USA biết thêm được nhiều thông tin cuộc sống xung quanh ta. Thấm thoát, thế là đã 2 năm hành trình của VietNEWS USA phục vụ khán giả thân yêu của mình. Một chặng đường 2 năm thật là nhiều cam go nhưng tràn đầy kỷ niệm. Nhờ sự yêu thương của khán giả và những fan ủng hộ mà VietNEWS USA phát triển đến ngày hôm nay. Nhân dịp kỷ niệm chặng đường 2 năm, VietNEWS USA cảm ơn sự hoạt động hết mình từ những buổi ban đầu của các anh chị em sứ ngôn viên như Mộng Trinh, Thanh Tâm, Jimmy Hoàng, Laco, những kỹ thuật viên như Quang Phan, Christian Lê và các hướng dẫn viên của các chương trình talk show và chương trình như Phương Bi của khu vườn của những con ong, Lê Lệ của Tài Chánh Arizona, Long Lê của Địa ốc Arizona, Anh Paris của The Paris Show, Tiffany Mộng Tuyền của Song Ngữ Cuộc Sống Quanh Ta, Thùy Ngọc với Pháp Luật và Đời Sống và nhiều cộng tác viên trong các chương trình khác. Chương trình kỷ niệm chặng đường 2 năm còn có sự hiện diện của các anh chị em ca nghệ sĩ đang được yêu mến như nữ ca sĩ Phương Thanh, nam ca sĩ Quách Thành Danh, nữ ca sĩ Khả Tú, nam ca sĩ Hoàng Phong, nam ca sĩ trẻ Đô Đô và nhiều ca sĩ khách mời đặc biệt khác. Chương trình ca nhạc dạ tiệc Khi Giấc Mơ Về sẽ được tổ chức vào thứ Bảy ngày 30 tháng 7 năm 2022 tại Indo-America 2809 West Maryland Avenue, Phoenix, Arizona 85017. Mở cửa đón khách từ 6 giờ, chương trình bắt đầu từ 7 đến 11 giờ tối, dạ tiệc phục vụ lúc 8 giờ. Vé vào cửa, vé VIP 1.000 trên một bàn 10 người bao gồm 5 món ăn và 10 chai bia. Vé đồng hạng 750 trên một bàn 10 người bao gồm 5 món ăn. Mua tại cửa vui lòng thêm 10 Mỹ Kim. Mọi chi tiết về chương trình vui lòng gọi 602 481 2647 602 481 2647. VietNEWS USA trân trọng kính mời. Tóc bạc là một vấn đề của đàn ông và phụ nữ ở độ tuổi trung niên. Họ phải nhuộm tóc thông thường 2 lần một tháng. Hầu hết thuốc nhuộm đều không phù hợp với tóc. Chúng chứa các hóa chất và có hại gây rụng tóc, khô da đầu, ngứa ngáy khó chịu. Nó cũng khiến chân tóc dễ bị tổn thương, từ đó ảnh hưởng đến sức khỏe của bạn. Đến với Quay giúp quý vị làm chậm tóc bạc. Quay hoàn toàn tự nhiên và không gây bất kỳ tác dụng phụ nào trên tóc và cơ thể bạn. Serum dưỡng tóc này biến đổi tóc bạc thành màu tự nhiên, giúp bạn làm mới mái tóc của mình. Quay điều trị các vấn đề về rụng tóc và thúc đẩy sự phát triển của tóc, ngăn ngừa hư tổn tóc, nuôi dưỡng tóc và trị cầu. Quay làm cho tóc bóng mượt và sang trọng hơn. Quay không có tác dụng phụ và hoàn toàn hữu cơ, giúp dưỡng ẩm cho tóc. Quay trị tóc bạc và chăm sóc tóc toàn diện. Quay trị tóc bạc sớm, phục hồi sắc tố melanin, giúp tóc đen hơn, kích thích mọc tóc, ngăn ngừa rụng tóc, trị cầu, nuôi dưỡng, giữ ẩm tóc, làm dịu da đầu, tăng cường tóc dày và khỏe mạnh. Hãy gọi ngay 916 666 0218 916 666 0218. Quay trị tóc bạc sớm. Trong phút chào đón quý khán giả đến với chương trình của VietNEWS USA, một chương trình thiết thực cho mọi gia đình. Cảm ơn quý khán giả đã luôn ủng hộ các chương trình của VietNEWS USA và đặc biệt là chương trình Song Ngữ Cuộc Sống Quanh Ta. Chương trình nằm nối kết các thế hệ với nhau bằng một chương trình song ngữ. Ngoài ra, chương trình còn tạo điều kiện để chúng ta cùng tìm hiểu về những cộng đồng bạn, những văn hóa, phong tục, tập quán, cùng những thành công, những gương tốt để chúng ta cùng thêm sự hiểu biết và cùng hòa nhập trong cuộc sống tại Hợp Trung Quốc, Hoa Kỳ. Xe cộ là một phương tiện không thể thiếu cho mỗi người trong chúng ta. Tuy nhiên, khi gặp phải trở ngại vì xe hư dọc đường, còn người kéo xe cũng như sửa xe thì phải làm sao? Đừng lo, hãy gọi ngay Eric Auto Repair với số điện thoại 623 792 0896 623 792 0896 để được giúp đỡ nhiệt tình. Eric Auto Repair chuyên kiểm tra và sửa máy xe, chẩn đoán hệ thống đường truyền điện, máy nóng và AC, sửa và thay timing belt, hệ thống bơm nước, hệ thống điện, hệ thống phun nhiên liệu, thay máy, thay hộp số, thắng xe, bảo trì xe, hệ thống làm mát máy xe, sửa chữa hệ thống khói xe để check smoke, hệ thống làm mát máy, bàn đạp, ghiền sữa, thay máy và các hộp số các loại xe, sửa chữa body xe. Ngoài ra, chúng tôi còn có dịch vụ kéo xe miễn phí nếu quý vị sửa xe tại tiệm. Hãy gọi ngay 623 792 0896, 623 792 0896. Eric Auto Repair tọa lạc tại 2117 West Camelback Road, Phoenix, Arizona 85015. Eric Auto Repair mở cửa từ thứ Hai đến thứ Bảy, từ 8 giờ sáng đến 5 giờ chiều. Chuyên nghiệp, tận tâm, uy tín, giá cả phải chăng.
Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of VietNEWS TV here, and we're delighted to have Daniel Lee here with us. His Vietnamese is Nhật Minh, but don't ever call him that. He probably won't recognize it if you call him Nhật Minh on the street. Just kidding. Well, Daniel, thank you for being here today and being with our audience here. Do say hello.
Hi, thank you for having me. This is new. Never done anything like this before, so a little nervous right now, but we'll get through it.
Now, don't say that your parents forced you to be here. Is that the case?
I don't know. I was sleeping one day, and then the CEO called me. I don't know, it was an unrecognized number. I thought it was like a spam call. And, I picked up. He called me by my name. I'm like, hi. I thought you were trying to sell me a fridge or something. But yeah, I was like, oh, okay. And then I thought this was gonna be like a typing interview, so I didn't come dressed or anything.
You are fine.
Yeah.
Here we try to invite every single, different people of the community. I love interacting with different personalities, new people, and you certainly represent, what I would classify as new professions and new mindsets of Vietnamese folks that's been living here. Kính thưa quý vị, ngày hôm nay thì rất là hân hạnh có mặt được của em Daniel Lee, tên Việt Nam và Nhật Minh. Thì em đã tốt nghiệp năm 2022, mới vài tuần thôi, với cái bằng là cử nhân khoa học chính trị. Và ngày hôm nay em sẽ đến đây chia sẻ một vài thông tin về nghề nghiệp của mình, cũng như là một vài cái nhìn về cộng đồng, về những cái việc mà em đã và đang thực hiện ở trong đời sống hàng ngày cũng như là trong cộng đồng của chúng ta. Thành ra hy vọng là quý vị sẽ welcome, sẽ làm quen với một gương mặt này. Nếu mà đi ra đường, đi chợ Lily, đi boba shop mà có gặp Daniel Lee thì nói là quý vị đã xem Daniel Lee ở trên VietNEWS USA nha quý vị. I was just saying that, hey, if they catch you at Lily, they should say hello.
Oh, I go to Mekong. So.
You go to Mekong, okay. What are some of your favorite Asian restaurants around town?
Oh man, I love sushi. Like I'm a huge sushi person. My go-to was it's this like Korean place in Halloween, like I guess Chandler. It's called Meetup. It's called a Meetup, and then there's a place downtown called Hurumi. It's really good. And then I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's like Yukata or something. It's all the way on the Deer Valley side, I think, northern Phoenix. Delicious. I love sushi, so.
Okay, so are you a foodie?
Yes, not as much anymore because ever since I started living on my own, it costs a lot of money. But
That's true.
Yeah, but I don't know. It was a lot easier being a foodie like 5 years ago because there's only like 5 restaurants that were decent.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then California kind of took over, and we have so many restaurants now.
That's right.
Yeah, but no, I love food, and the scale like says it. Proves it,
So were you born here?
Yeah, I was born and raised.
Arizona.
Phoenix, Arizona.
So you certainly saw, how the world changed since you were born many years ago. Just kidding, not long ago. And then certainly the last couple of years where the Asian community has, grown quite exponentially. Are you happy about it? Are you sad about it? Because Arizona used to be very quiet.
Yeah, it's weird. It's quite funny. Like 10, 15 years ago, the Asian community, not just in Arizona, but in the world, it never really had a vocal voice. We always been the minority. We always been set aside. So A lot of people like myself at that time had identity issues, struggled with these identity issues, these conflicts, and you go throughout life, you don't know, like, am I Asian? Am I white?
Yes.
Am I Mexican? Like in Phoenix, Arizona, it's more like, oh, am I Mexican? Am I?
That's right.
It was definitely a weird thing. It took some time, but with this new generation, like bringing in this new pride of being Asian, and
Yes.
it gave me and countless others the opportunity to be proud of our heritage, proud of who we are, and proud of maintaining that identity through our background. So I was all about that, Long Food Productions came around, boba, like Asians ruled YouTube at one point, and I was all about that. But the last few years, I realized that in high school I leaned a little bit too heavily on that. I was all about the Asian stuff. I had the man bun. I was all about that.
You're living the Asian life.
Yeah.
Okay.
But then, the last few years, especially just growing up and learning more about myself, I realized that you shouldn't rest your identity just on your whole personality, or your identity just on one or two things. And so I was able to learn more about myself, and now, while I'm proud to be Asian American, I'll always voice it. I don't think myself as the Asian Daniel Lee,
Right. We're here, and especially you were born here, so you're first an American.
Yeah.
Let's say with heritage of Asian. Now, the reason why I asked that question, and thank you for the answer, it's deep because I know you study political science, which in Vietnamese is khoa học chính trị, kind of a very different field. You certainly did not go to school to be a doctor or like an engineer.
No,
Tell
sorry,
us
Mom.
and tell our audience, political science. What do you study?
So political science is very broad. There's definitely many avenues of approaching it in tandem with political science. For me, I was very passionate about the political process, how things get solved, and I am a big believer that in order to be part of the solution, you have to show up. If you're gonna have an opinion on a policy or on an initiative or on something that you don't agree with, the best way to change it is to participate in that process. Political science spoke to me a lot in that manner, and I always loved it. Full disclosure, I actually did not start as a political science major. I wanted to, but all these teachers, they tell you, oh yeah, you're not gonna get a job in that, get something instead. So I did. I didn't even do STEM. I did psychology because I thought it'd be fun.
Yes.
I thought it'd be like something cool, spice stuff. Definitely not the case. I was very sick of learning about dopamine and all that stuff.
Right.
Yeah. So then I changed.
Hypnotize somebody, right? That was part of the study.
Yeah, that's what I wanted to do, but I couldn't do that. And then I switched to economics, which I absolutely loved until we got to microeconomic theory.
Oh gosh.
Yeah,
yes.
and then a few, potential failed classes later, and I switched to political science.
Okay.
And which is what I wanted to start with in the beginning. So.
Okay. So then you find out that it actually is something that you enjoy doing.
Oh no, I knew I was gonna like it, but because you listen to other people's opinions, so you go with the other, avenue of approach. But in reality, I should have stuck with it, because if I did, I'll have a 4.0 GPA right now. I don't because of that,
But you discovered that you didn't like the other thing, so no regrets now.
No,
let's
no.
continue on the. So let's talk about that. I mean, your parents, what do they think about this when you chose this field?
It's funny because I don't think they actually understand completely what it is.
Yes.
Because I don't know the Vietnamese word for it.
Yes.
And I go on Google all the time, but they don't also translate.
It's khoa học chính trị. Now you can tell your
Mẹ cũng không biết
parents
câu. Ủa chị bảo why không biết
that. Okay.
Yeah, they just laugh
Yeah.
and they walk away and say okay.
Okay.
It's weird because I never wanted to go to college. I wanted to enlist in the army right away.
Yeah.
I even went as far as going to MEPS, and like I was almost signing a contract. But last minute, I was blessed with the opportunity to go to college with a full ride just through ASU. And so I went, and they were ecstatic, but they still knew that I wanted to have some relationship with the military, and they weren't really happy about that. And yeah, it was some awkward dinner conversations.
So what kind of jobs can you get with this kind of degree?
Political science. It's if you want like the cool jobs with the cool titles, you need to find more graduate education, and you want to get more degrees under your belt. It's mostly going to be like political analysts.
Political analysts.
Yeah, or if you want to be part of the campaigns. I know recently you had a guest who was all about that. So you definitely work with campaigns, work with administrations. You can work in government, public policy. Like I said, it's a good degree if you want to be part of the program. It's not sexy. It's not it's not a cool title to have, but if you want real change, having a political science degree is the foundation to take part in your government.
And you said if to take part in the political process, and if you want to change anything, you have to participate in it. And what does participate here mean?
Participate can mean a lot of things. We can't forget. I'm totally ripping this off of the TV show that I love to watch, but you can't forget that the best way to preserve a democracy is to take part in it. And taking part in it, participating in it can mean many different things. Either volunteering with the organization that you feel passionate about, whether going to whether voting, obviously that's your fundamental right that everyone should do.
Yes.
And then obviously donating and spreading the word. You're always one conversation away from either enlightening somebody and having their views change, or starting up some controversy as the television shows us. But no matter what, it's an impact, both small and grand, that you can still do, and it's that's how you take part in that process. You get involved at the end of the day.
That's very deep, and I'm certain that the classes have taught you to analyze and to think of things that way. Yeah, no?
College is a scam.
College is a scam.
I don't know if I'm supposed to say that. Can we cut that?
No, it's a free country. You can share your opinion. But interesting, some of the interesting observations that you've made about, politics environment in the last couple of years. You may not be able to freely talk about it, but share as much as you can.
About
from a view, the political environments in the last, I would say, 4 or 5 years here. What are some of the interesting observations you made?
I say that.
And what are more important lessons learned that we all should take away?
Oh yeah, absolutely. That's a fair question. I think the biggest thing that I think you can attest to, I can attest to, and everyone else can see, is that everything you see on social media, everything you see in the news, throw it away, ignore it, because no matter how far right, how far left the opinion is, it represents only 10% of what the country thinks overall. So the key, the trick to not lose your mind when you talk about real issues and real problems and coming up with real solutions, is to focus on the 90%, the people that are willing to talk about it in a respectful manner. If you waste your time agonizing and crying or debating with that 10% that does not matter whatsoever, then it's just a waste of time. So that's what I've learned. The biggest lesson I've learned in regards to how bad social media can be in terms of news outlets and all that. But overall, as long as you make sure that you don't drink the Kool-Aid, as they say, you'll be fine, and you'll have some really in-depth conversations. And as an example, I came to college with drastically different views than what I left into it. And it has nothing to do with the school, the industry, the infrastructure that I was in for the last 4 years. It had everything to do with the real in-depth conversations, research, personal research too, and self-reflection, and the ability to be humble and say, hey, you know what, I was wrong. You were able to convince me with this. I see your point of view. I see that I was wrong, and I can understand where you're coming from.
That's pretty deep, and I think a lot of us, when we're in a heated conversation, it's hard to hear other people's opinions and point of views, and being able to just step back and make sure that opinions and views are heard and then analyzed and so on. So
Yeah.
it's a good thing to have. So let's jump on some of the other jobs that you have. So you're also a firefighter, là một cái người lính mà cứu hỏa. Another job that I wouldn't think that Asians parents would approve or would like their kids to do because it's dangerous. Share with us a little bit about your job.
Yeah. I know I mentioned military. Well, I'm sure we'll get to that later. But for a while, I always as a little kid, I always wanted to be a cop. I always wanted to be in public safety. Start from a little kid. And then I had the opportunity to go to the special high school. It's called Franklin Police and Fire High School. Graduated there in 2018. It's a public school like any other school in the Phoenix Union High School District, but it specialized in people that wanted to become firefighters, become police officers, law enforcement. It's in the name. And student body was less than 320. It was my graduating class was 72 students.
70 students.
Yeah.
For the whole state?
Graduating class for the school. It was slow.
Yeah.
But so I entered that school thinking, I'm gonna join the law program, I'm gonna pave the way and finally become a cop, because I thought it was gonna be the Rush Hour movies. I thought it was gonna be my name was already Lee, so I'll be I'll be the Jackie Chan, Detective Inspector Lee, fight bad guys.
Yes.
Yeah, it's not that at all. It's paperwork. It's mostly paperwork.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so when you hit your junior and senior year, you get to choose which program to get into. When I realized that law enforcement wasn't really for me, I chose firefighting, and it was great. I was able to be passionate about fire suppression, learn about the world of fire, make connections, and about 2 months before I graduated, I was able to get hired on with the department and actually work as a seasonal wildland firefighter under their payroll. And I did three fire seasons. It's partial seasons because I went to school full time as a college. Went to college.
Arizona State University.
Yeah. ASU. Yeah. So I'll only work during the summer months, but during those months, it was great. It was a great experience. I love firefighting. I love the world of fire. I miss my brothers on the fire line.
Wow.
And I had the best. I am very grateful for the opportunities to suppress a lot of cool fires. Most notably, back in 2020, the bushfire.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the bushfire that occurred in 2020 is the 4th largest wildfire in Arizona history. At that time, it was all hands on deck, and I was fortunate enough to be loaned out to Goodyear Fire, and was able to go out and suppress and be a part of the suppression of the bushfire, which burned over 193,000 acres, which is a lot. So a memory that I can't. A memory that's an experience that I can't trade for anything else.
Well, that's interesting. Kính thưa quý vị, em Daniel vừa kể về những cái quá trình mà mình học để làm một người firefighter là lính cứu hỏa, thì em có kể lại trong việc mà năm 2020 thì có thể một số quý vị có nhớ là đám cháy bushfire thì nó là cái vụ cháy rừng lớn thứ 4 của Arizona, và trong cái thời gian đó thì 193.000 mẫu đất đã bị cháy, thì em cũng đã tham gia để mà giúp dập cái cơn lửa đó. So it sounds really, really, really dangerous, Daniel.
Yeah, it was
Can
great.
you walk us through when you engage in such event, what are some of the things that you guys do?
Oh, it's a lot. Mostly you're working 16-hour days. 16 hours. Yeah, it's hard. It's hard stuff. I was part of an engine crew, so it was me and 3 other guys in a Type 6 engine, where we'll have 350 gallons of water, and our job was to support the hand crews and the hotshot crews, for which we worked with a lot. Hand crews are units that have 20 firefighters. They're hotshots, so they fight fires directly, wildfires directly. Our job is to support them, but on top of that, our job is to be able to. Our job at the end of the day is to suppress the fire, and so it's the needs of the company, the needs of the organization. For the bushfire, we had a lot of different assignments. It was, we had to. It was supporting the hotshot crews, but also going out and doing mop-up duties, guarding the fire, and finding some fingers. Fire, small fires that happen from the big fires. You know, it's called, they call fingers. This is getting a little technical, but yeah, our
And
job.
they try to put them out.
Yeah,
Put it in.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it was you know, you'd be digging line a lot. Obviously, you get the hose, you're drenching the fire out, and yeah, it was a lot of work. It was a blessed opportunity, and it wasn't just a bushfire. I fought on a lot of different fires too. My favorite one was I forgot what it was called, but it was up in the native lands, and there was a big fire, and it jumped the line that they had. So the hot shots, like I said, we were supporting the hot shots, but the fire jumped the line that they had, and all of a sudden, like, the fire was going crazy. And when the fire picks up, it burns and it moves very quickly.
Very quickly.
So they had us, a Type 6 engine, like, drive like as fast as you can to flank the fire, and it was me and 3 other guys. It was just us 3. We're digging line. We're hosing down the fire while you have VLAT, planes drop retardant, helicopters drop water all over us, smoke was everywhere. Like
It's a scene.
yeah, no, it's just chaos. Like, you know, you have black stuff, soot all over your uniform, your face. Like, it was great.
I should have asked you to bring your uniform. What does it feel like wearing that
Hot.
uniform under like blazing hot weather and then the fire itself?
Hot.
Yeah.
That's all I can say. It's hot. It sucks. I'm not even gonna sugarcoat it. It's hot.
Yeah, and how long are you supposed to stay in that uniform? What's the max limit that you?
You stay in the uniform when you're on the fire. Like, you don't take that off. When you go to base camp, obviously you take it off, you know. But when you're on the fire, you're wearing that because that is part of your PPE. It's your job. And safety at the end of the day is the number one concern for firefighters.
Okay. What are some tips and tricks for our audience here so they don't burn, of course, unnecessarily?
Yeah, just don't be stupid. Seriously, like, yeah, that one.
Do the
Like,
common sense things.
yeah, seriously, like, I mean, just follow the laws. You know, like, if you go outdoors, there are levels of dryness, levels of fire danger. So if it's all the way in the red, that means that you're not allowed to have open campfires. But on top of that, be safe with your firearms if you're shooting. Make sure you have tools ready to, in case something does pop up. If you're like hauling a boat, make sure your chains are not are all tied down. They're not just dragging, causing sparks. And then just be mindful of your surroundings. If there's a lot of dead grass around, stay away.
Okay.
You know.
Dạ, em cho Nhân vừa mới chia sẻ một vài cái kinh nghiệm khi mà quý vị, đặc biệt là nếu mà quý vị đi ra rừng chơi, nếu mà có cái bạn hướng dẫn nói quý vị đừng đốt lửa, xin đừng đốt lửa, tại vì có thể mình sẽ tự để mình vào trong một cái tình huống mình không muốn, mà ngoài ra còn những cái người khác như là những người lính cứu hỏa cũng sẽ đến giúp mình. Nếu mà bắn súng thì cũng nên để ý là những cái vết rơi nó sẽ rơi ở đâu, nó có làm cháy rừng hay là không. Rồi khi mà nếu mà quý vị trong một cái khu vực nào đó có nhiều cỏ chết thì cũng làm ơn là rất là cẩn thận. Đây là những cái nơi mà rất có dễ làm bắt cháy và những cái người lính cứu hỏa người ta sẽ phải làm việc. Alright, so that's a lot about it, but thank you for the information. I mean, when I was growing up, I actually wanted to join the FBI.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, no. And then I thought I was going to be an accountant. But no, I'm now working as a software engineer. So life takes you places. We all had dreams and so on. But it seems like you've actually landed all of your dreams and are doing everything that you wanted to do. So congratulations on that. And today, as of this moment, you are a commissioned officer in the Army as well. Explain a little bit about that job. And in Vietnamese, it's a position, một cái nhiệm vụ là sĩ quan ở trong quân đội. Thì chúng ta sẽ nghe em cho nhau giải thích là em làm cái nhiệm vụ gì ở trong đó.
Yeah. So I mentioned earlier that before high school, before I graduated high school, I had aspirations to join the military. I wanted to enlist in the Army and just be one of the grunts, be one of the Joes, be in the trenches. Being Asian American background, that was not a very popular choice among my family. And then last minute, ASU, the school that I graduated from, offered me a full ride, and so I couldn't say no. So I went. And I was planning on just finishing college and continue my firefighting career. But I felt like I still had that calling, like that desire to serve the military, serve my country, and join the Army one way or another. And that's where ROTC came along, a program through ASU where while you're training while you're a student. You're also trained to be a soldier, but not just a soldier. You're trained to be a leader, because at the end of the day, that program, besides making that program, leaves you becoming an officer. So that's what happened. I did ROTC for 4 years, and like my schedule, like it was miserable. I was like, I'll wake up at 4:30, 4 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning, 5 in the morning every day. You have training, PT, so physical training, so like running 5 miles, like all the different like crazy workouts every day, every other day at least. Then you have classes you have to take, you have labs where you're actually learning how to conduct missions, and it's difficult because the first few years you're learning everything, what it takes to become that soldier, but then the last 2 years you're learning what it takes to be that leader, so leading soldiers. And so that's what we did, that's what I did. And then on May 11th I was I graduated, finished the program, and I was able to be fortunate to commission into the Army as a second lieutenant for the branch of infantry, which, by the way, I should say that everything I say now does not represent the views of the U.S. military. Yeah, sorry. It's a law. I actually.
Oh, totally understand.
Total disclaimer. Total disclaimer. I can't talk much about certain things.
Totally understand. I mean, it certainly is. I also have a cousin who's actually a pilot, and there's a lot of restrictions, so you cannot share. So I totally respect that. And then you have 8 years to serve the country. Yeah,
I have an 8-year obligation. 4 years of it has to be active. The other 4 years it can remain active, go reserves, or go to something called the inactive reserve. I'm still not sure if I want to stay in full time. I'm just taking it every step of the way. But I definitely know that the next 4 years of my life, I'm gonna give it everything I got. I have aspirations to make to really push and bring and take everything that the Army can give me and use it to make sure that the soldiers I'll be leading come home safe, come home every day safe to their families, and make sure that I can contribute to my unit, my platoon. Platoon is which I'll be leading. It's a like a unit element that holds like 40 individual like men and women. Those are your soldiers that you're leading. Being an infantry officer, I'm going to be it's one of the most difficult jobs you can have. It's the infantry. We're the tip of the spear at the end of the day, and we're the guys on the ground, boots on the ground. We're the most dangerous job.
Of course.
And that's what I'll be blessed to do. And that's pretty much. I don't leave for that training until for a few more months. So as of now, I'm just a civilian. I'm a commissioned officer, but I'm a civilian.
Yeah, well, it sounds like very exciting at the same time too, and certainly, it's we watch movies and so on, but I mean, reality, this is a lot of tough work that has to go into it to prepare yourself and the people that you're responsible for. So that's such a big responsibility. I did want to ask some other things here. So now that you are in the Army and your parents know that you're going to go on training and so on, have you ever been out of the country for any of the services work, or have you always been in Arizona?
We had to go to Fort Knox, Kentucky to do some training last summer. But in regards to out of the country, no, I've never been. I mean, I've been in Canada, I've been in Mexico, Vietnam when I was like 2 months old. But yeah, for training wise or Army wise, no. I'm like I said, the last 4 years I was just a student and a cadet. That's all it is. I finished that time, and now I'm just waiting to move on to the next stage of my military career.
So people love the country. I love America, but I can't compare my love for the country as much as, in this case, you actually want to service your country and so on. So was there a point in your life where you're like, you know what, I really want to dedicate your service to the America, a turning point of some sort?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, as a kid, you have like a million dreams. At one point, I want to be a professional chef. I want to be a professional wrestler. I want to be a professional race car driver. You have all these little dreams, but they're just you're a kid. But eventually, like something that you're passionate about just stays and lingers. And you know, like traditional Western families, like nowadays at least, they'll push for you to follow your dreams.
Right.
Asian American families still, it's different. It's different. You know, obviously your parents want you to be happy, but they want you to be successful. And there's a status thing involved. There's a money thing involved. But overall, they just want you to have a better life, a life that they can never have. Because you know, my parents moved from Vietnam, you know, broken everything, and so they weren't happy with the idea of me, you know, dedicating my life to a job as rigorous as it is. So yeah, you know, like anybody else, any other Asian American, you suppress your actual desires and dreams, and you just push through to make sure that you keep your parents happy, but you're also like, okay, you know, maybe this makes me happy. But that desire to serve, like, it was always there, and it kept biting at me. And eventually, I just realized I can't live for any other people's opinions or expectations of me, and it's time for me to live for myself, live for my dreams, live for my calling. That's why I joined the military.
Oh, very good. And then in reading through the rest of your information here, it feels like you're a very, very humble person. And a lot of the things that you do here, you see yourself as a very small, like, you know, sand in the ocean where there's a lot of, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah.
You certainly do a lot of good things here for our community and our country.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I appreciate the high opinion. I appreciate the opportunity to, you know, tell my story. But I don't know. At the end of the day, like, there are, like you know, like you said, I'm just a shell on the ocean beach. You know, a little apple on a big tree. It's my story isn't unique, and that's a good thing. It's a really good thing. There's so many other people that were able to, you know, follow their dreams, accomplish their goals, and really go out there and make a difference in the world. And way more than I have ever done at this age, you know. And while I appreciate, like, while I acknowledge that, like, I have some decent accomplishments under my belt, it was never about that, you know. I never thought I'd be doing something like this. Yeah, but you know, there's so many people out there that have done so much good for the world, not just for this country, but for the world as a whole.
Absolutely.
And you know, in my opinion, I think their story deserves to be spoken more than mine. You know,
There's so many good stories, and
a lot of good stories
that we should be proud of and should recognize too. You know, all the bad things. Certainly, there are bad things that happen in this world, but there are many great things too. If you can campaign for anyone, you know, dead or alive, who would you go and help campaign for, like a, you know, president or something like that?
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to answer that question.
Really? Not even allowed to answer that?
Yeah, it's something called the Hatch Act. But I'm not sure if I can answer that question.
We're gonna bypass that question then. All right, what do you guys do for fun at home? Do you hang out with your parents much?
No, I don't. I currently don't live with my parents. It's weird because, you know, I mentioned earlier about the difficult schedules I have the last 4 years. Like, I wasn't kidding. Like, for 5 days straight out of the week, I'll have at least the last 2 years, I woke up at 4 in the morning, 4:30 in the morning. You know, I had some training or some classes or some physical training I had to do, and then it's just back to back classes, lectures for my school, because I was a full-time student, and then I also had a full-time job. You know, I have a dog that I have to take care of, so my day will start from 4:30 in the morning, 4 in the morning, and end at like midnight, and literally midnight. I won't go to bed till like 12:30, 1 in the morning, and then I have to do it all over again. So I'm only sleeping 3 hours a day, 3 to 4 hours a day for 5 days a week, and then I sleep like 12 hours on Saturdays. And like I said, I have a full-time job, so then I got, you know, 40 hours of work too, and there was not much time for fun. But I would say that I had great people around me that supported me and provided the level of escape that you need to be able to, you know, stay sane. And I won't be here without them. My family support, obviously, and the friends and family that I had around me.
Okay.
And the dog.
To ask you to give some advice may be a funny thing to you since you just graduated here, but I am sure there's a lot of youngsters that might, you know, have dreams that they want to chase and a little hesitant to do so. What advice do you have for them?
I'm a big believer that if you set your mind to something, you can accomplish anything you want in life. I think that if I were to give advice, whether or not it's valid or whether if you choose to follow it, would be that it's very easy to play the victim. It's very easy to sit back, complain, or cry, and sometimes it's true. Sometimes you are the victim. I'm not gonna lie. The world at the end of the day it's hard, it's difficult, and there's a reason for that. It's not always fair, but doing that can only get you so far. And I believe that if you change your mentality, set your mind to your overall goal, and just roll up your sleeves and just grind it out, and just make sure that your grit outlasts your grit is bigger than your sense of self-doubt, and you'll be good to go. My childhood dream was to always be a professional wrestler. I had a lot of dreams, but one of these days, let's see if I can join a ring. It's
Nice.
almost there. Yeah.
Alright. So lời khuyên của Daniel dành cho quý em là đừng bao giờ nghĩ mình là một cái nạn nhân. Vâng, có nhiều lúc thì cuộc đời nó cũng rất là khó khăn, nhưng mà mình hãy thay đổi cái cách suy nghĩ của mình. Mình cứ phải hướng về những cái chiều hướng tích cực. Mình phải làm việc work hard, vất vả, nhưng mà mình sẽ đạt được những cái điều mà mình mong muốn. So Daniel, it's been a very inspirational conversation. I have to say, you're one of my top favorite guests as of now.
Appreciate it.
So I really thank you for sharing your background, your history, where you've come from. I actually learned a lot today, and so for that, thank you, and wish you a lot of luck. Have fun with your training, and then hopefully we can bring you back in the future for to talk about your training and any other things that our audience or with you may find beneficial to share to the rest of the world.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I don't think Ranger School is going to be fun at all, but I appreciate it. Yeah, no, this is fun. It's hot, but it's fun.
It's very hot in here right now. We'll have to talk to David, the producer, about that. But well, thank you so much
Thanks
again.
so much, Tiffany. I appreciate it.
Of course.
Bạn cần có cho mình một chiếc bánh cưới, bánh đính hôn, bánh sinh nhật hay chỉ là một chiếc bánh kem ngon miệng cho bữa cơm tối gia đình? Hãy đến ngay với Bamboo Bakery, tiệm bánh cưới Việt Nam đầu tiên và duy nhất tại Arizona, được vote best từ năm 2007 cho tới nay, với hơn 250 loại bánh kem dành cho mọi nhà như bánh kem sầu riêng Hoàng đế, nữ hoàng Pink Champagne, mềm mại thơm ngon với bánh dừa kem Pháp, hay ngọt ngào đê mê với mocha. Hãy gọi ngay 602 246 8061 để có cho mình và gia đình một chiếc bánh kem tuyệt đẹp và ngon tuyệt vời. Cảm ơn quý khán giả đã theo dõi chương trình Song Ngữ Cuộc Sống Quanh Ta với Tiffany Mộng Tuyền và khách mời. Chương trình phát hình vào mỗi tối thứ hai hàng tuần trong khung giờ quen thuộc là 7 giờ PM giờ Arizona trên channel VietNEWS USA. Mọi đóng góp ý kiến cũng như tham gia chương trình, vui lòng liên lạc với chúng tôi qua số điện thoại 602 481 2647 hoặc theo địa chỉ email info.vietnewsusa@gmail.com. Chân thành cảm ơn. Chúc quý khán giả có một ngày thật là vui bên gia đình và người thân. Hẹn gặp lại quý khán giả trong chương trình tới. Và đừng quên bấm nút like, nút chuông để luôn theo dõi cũng như chia sẻ các chương trình của VietNews đến với mọi người. Have a wonderful day and see you soon.